this right here is gonna be a great lesson on cue ball control. There is so much to learn from this one because I did this drill a couple of times before this take with live commentary, so I know exactly what's about to happen and what kind of things you're about to learn in this video. And it's great for beginners, but also for advanced players. So watch me talk about the angles I'm using, the spin I'm using on the cue ball, how I'm planning the whole thing, and just try to actively think while I'm at the table. So don't just watch, try to make your own plan, your own decisions, and try to question what I'm doing before I'm doing it. So what is this drill all about? We're starting with the 1 ball, we have to go to the 8, then we have to go to the 2, to the 8, to the 3, to the 8, to the 4, and so on. So long story short, let's give it a try. And one of the biggest mistakes I see almost every beginner make is when they're trying to get on the 8 ball, they're giving themselves way too little angle on the 1 ball. Because what we want to achieve is, we want to come all the way right around here for the 8 ball and leave ourselves a bit of an angle because we want to plan ahead. We don't want to end up straight. We want to have an angle to come down table for the 2 ball again. This is important. And the thing that happens when you're giving yourself too little angle, and we're using no spin here, just a center ball, a cue ball kind of goes in a very, very bad direction, and it was hit way too soft. So what could you do? Well, you have basically 2 options here. The first option is, you can see the cue ball went a bit into that direction, so you can hit a bit lower on the cue ball, and if you want to make the cue ball come all the way to here, you also have to hit a bit harder. So let's give that a try. I'm gonna hit like a quarter tip below center and harder. And the cue ball changes direction and it ends up once again in a horrible spot because this is a way too difficult 8 ball. I mean, it would work to go down from the 8 to the 2 ball. I'm gonna give that a try, but this is very missable and not the easiest one. The good news is it's natural. I don't have to do anything with the cue ball, just a high ball. Made it, but I mean, it's an okay angle on a 2 ball. Here would be nice, because remember, we want to have an angle to go up table to the 8 ball again. But once again, this is way too difficult. The 8 ball is missable. The position on the 2 ball is not great. And getting from the 1 to the 8 ball is way too uncontrolled, because I ended up here, whereas here would have been ideal. So what can we change? Well, you need to understand that with so little angle, the cue ball loses a lot of its own momentum, because it transfers so much of energy to the 1 ball. So how about instead, we just give ourselves a bit more angle. And now just watch what happens if I'm playing the same shot, center ball, same speed. You can see how easily and controlled the cue ball goes up table. I didn't have to manipulate anything. I could just change the speed to change where the cue ball ends. And this is so much easier. So very important, give yourself angle. Speaking about angle, this is a bit too little on the 8 ball. Here would be nice because once again we want to come nicely 2 rails, very natural down table. And with this angle right here, which is a bit too little, I basically could do the same, but I need to use a lot of right spin here. So let's show you that. A bit above center and a lot of right spin. Then you come out like this, but once again, it's a bit uncontrolled. And I think, well, it's okay, but a bit too much angle on a 2 ball and a bit too far away. So I would say here would be ideal. So let's set the 8 ball up again and see what other option we had here with that little angle. I mean, I like the option to go 2 rails, but you need a lot of spin and this becomes missable, especially if you're not playing for a couple of years. So instead, you could just hit a high ball. So let's see what happens here with just a follow. The cue ball now comes directly down. And this is a bit easier to control, but keep in mind, you are very likely, if your speed is not on point, because the cue ball traveled to here, it needs to stop here. If your speed is not on point, like here, you're going to end up with way too little angle on the 2 ball. And remember, you want to go up table to the 8 again. So with that angle, all you pretty much have is playing that really, really hard, stun the cue ball out, and very, very uncontrolled once again. This is why even it's a bit unnatural to just go with that little angle. Let's repeat that. even though it's a bit unnatural to force the cue ball all the way over to here, I still like it with the right spin because it's a bit easier to end up with an angle on the 2-ball. And this was, ooh, that was really lucky. So you can see you have to weigh up the percentages. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to force the cue ball around and give yourself a bit of a bigger window? Or do you prefer to just go one rail where you have to work a bit on your speed control? Long story short, this is not the angle we wanted to have on the 8-ball. So let's get back all the way to the beginning and try to end up with a natural angle on the 8-ball. So now with that angle, you see we were traveling a bit too far to here. So it would be nice if the cue ball travels a bit further to here, that we definitely have the natural angle. And this is why I'm adding just the tiniest amount of right spin on that shot. Really, just quarter of a tip maybe. Well, let's see how that works. That's nice. That's really good. And you can see already this tiny, tiny bit of change in cue ball movement from here to here now give us the most natural angle on the 8-ball to just come 2 rails. Now thinking about 2 rails, cue balls should go to here, to here. You can see if you're hitting the second rail too early, the cue ball comes out like this. So you have to keep in mind, you have to plan ahead that the cue ball needs to hit a bit more here, that you're not left with too much angle, but with a very makeable angle. So let's see how we can accomplish that. The more right spin you're using, you can see with the right spin, the cue ball goes more to here because it goes to the right. So the further you're gonna hit here, so you don't need a whole lot of right spin here. That's important. So let's see, high, well, not even a quarter of a tip of right spin, I would say. Still hit a bit too early here, but I mean, it was still good. Cue ball travels a really nice line. I will always have an angle on the 2-ball, but I would say, let's not repeat that. It doesn't always go 100% as planned, and keep shooting from here. Okay, interesting decision, because now the cue ball has a natural angle to come this line, but the problem is, if I'm trying to stop the cue ball here, because remember, we once again want to have an angle and basically do the same from here, leave the cue ball here, come 2 rails towards that free ball. But if I want to keep the cue ball here, let's see how difficult this gets, because I'm far away and I have a fin cut. So I have to hit that super soft, which turned out good in that case, but it's a bit risky, a bit tricky. So once again, you have to evaluate here. Do you want to slow roll that ball and end up with, in that case, it was perfect? Or do you prefer, maybe if you have even a bit more angle, but even here, do you prefer to just let your stroke out a bit more like this? Come to the short rail and then bounce back out. It's a bit, yeah, once again, this depends on your personal skill level, on what you're feeling more comfortable with. This now traveled a bit too far, so I even hit it a bit too hard, but the shot before was fine, and even here the angle is fine. So it depends, once again, there is no right or wrong. I think this was just manageable to slow roll that, any more angle, and I definitely would always go for that back and forth. So let's keep going from here. This is missable, this is tricky. Now, keep in mind, still, you want to think 3 shots ahead, at least 3 shots ahead. And this means if you're now going 2 rails, and you're once again trying to hit the second rail around here, where the cue ball travels like this path, then you're going to end up with that angle on the free ball. And the problem is now, compared to the balls that are on the short rail, you now have to work to bring the cue ball up. Before we could just roll it in and it comes up table, but if you're rolling that ball in, it will go somewhere to here. So now you have to work with, in that case, draw. So it's very difficult to bring the cue ball from here all the way up table. So you want to have less angle on the free ball, that it's easier to draw the cue ball back to here. And this just simply means this time you want to hit the second rail earlier, that you're ending up with less angle on the free ball compared to hitting the second rail later, when you end up with a lot of angle on the free ball. Okay, let's give it a try. This one is a bit missable, and very important, I'm gonna focus mostly on making the shot. Would be nice to have a good shape on the free ball, but since this shot is a bit more tricky, my main goal is, or always my main goal, of course, is to just make the shot, but I'm not trying to do anything too crazy with the cue ball, too much spin, too slow roll, so I'm not trying to do fancy stuff, even if this means I might have a bit more angle on the free ball. Okay. So this is pure left spin, no follow. And this is exactly what I've meant. I could have hidden that a bit harder and bring the cue ball a bit closer, but I had the feeling, or subconsciously at least, I played the shot with the speed where I have the best chances to make the shot, even though this means I'm now a bit too far away from that free ball. Does that make sense? So you don't want to lose control. This is just a drill right now, right? But in a match, you want to make the ball first and then carry about position. I mean, in the best case, both is perfect, but if I have to sacrifice one thing, of course, I'm not sacrificing making the ball, I'm sometimes sacrificing the perfect ball in hand position. Okay, let's keep going. So here, if the 6 and the 4 ball wouldn't be there, what I could do is use a bit of the natural roll of the cue ball, because the cue ball, obviously, if you're just rolling that in, let's try to remember where the cue ball is and show you if I'm just rolling that in. Cue ball wants to go naturally forward, you see? So if those two balls wouldn't be there, because they're a big blocker in that case, what I would do is I would support the natural roll of the cue ball and make the cue ball go from here to here, all the way from here, and end up with an angle on the 8 ball. But this is risky with those two balls, because obviously you are not allowed to collide into those balls. And even if you were allowed, this can slow the cue ball down and you might even snooker yourself. This is why in that case I have to play it with low and also some supporting left spin, outside spin. And this is really, really tricky, because I have to once again work against the natural roll of the cue ball. Well, let's give it a try. I'm aiming for that line. I could also aim for that line, because this would also be fine if I just bounce out from here. I'm just gonna make a decision here. And I think I'm gonna try to just draw the cue ball directly back, not even hit a rail here, and just leave the cue ball in that area. Either straight on the 8 ball, which would be horrible, so straight is not ideal. So either an angle here, where I can go just one rail to here, or with an angle where I once again can go 2 rails. But once again, I'm putting everything else below actually making the shot. So making the shot is the most important thing, even though the position is not perfect, just because the shot is so difficult. So low and left. You can see now I sacrificed the perfect position for actually making the shot. Okay, let's try again. I would say if we end up on the same line on the 4 ball as on the 3 ball, because it's basically the same shot, just not so far away, a bit closer, because the closer you are, the easier it gets to make the ball and to bring the cue ball back. But once again, it's not the easiest shot in the world. When I come 2 rails, bounce out, and then at least go to center of the table. So high, touch of left spin. Yeah, that's nice. That's really good. That's almost perfect. Now, once again, what could you do here? As I said before, you could use the natural roll of the cue ball and come out like this, but once again, the 5 ball is a really big blocker, so I think I have to do the same. Go low right, bring the cue ball back, leave an angle on the 8 ball. Here would be once again ideal, because remember, this 2 rail path is the easiest one to control. I could try to hit that rail and then bounce out, but it's easily overhitten where the cue ball ends up here. If I don't get that nice line and the cue ball tracks towards the side pocket. It would be great if the cue ball doesn't have the speed to even reach the side pocket. This is why I'm trying to not hit the second rail. So it's always a matter of percentages when you're playing position. What can go wrong? Of course, scratching can go wrong. Overhitting the ball can go wrong. So I'm just trying to leave it in this area. Of course, I'm going to pick a point, which would be here. But obviously, you're not always getting exactly to the point you're picking. So low right, bit of a stretch. Bit too soft. Line was good. I think here was the point I was picking. And you can see speed control is really huge in that drill, because if your speed isn't on point, your shot making has to be even more on point, because this is once again a bit of a tricky 8-ball. Now, we're coming to the last 2 balls. Here it would be nice to not have a whole lot of angle on a 5-ball, but just to have a bit of an angle where I can just draw the cue ball directly back, where even if I end up all the way anywhere on that line, I will have a shot on the 8-ball. This is why I'm now not using so much right spin. Not even any right spin at all, because the right spin, remember, from that rail, changes the direction and brings the cue ball out like this. Without the right spin, the cue ball would hit more like here. Okay, once again, just gonna focus on shot making, bringing the cue ball pretty close to the 5-ball. The draw shot is easier afterwards. So just high. That's fine. I mean, I would prefer with ball in hand to be a tad closer to the 5-ball. I mean, this is fine, but being here would be ideal. I could still reach that and the draw would be easier. No, it's also a bit too little angle. So if you're not careful, you have to hit hard. The ball is gonna rattle in the pocket. So I'm trying to hit the center of the pocket, which is not here, but into that direction now. I might gonna end up a bit too close to the rail, but I'm gonna take that sacrifice as long as I'm getting a bit closer to the rail, to the 8-ball. That was bad. I missed the pocket because I hit into here, and just because of that, the cue ball, you can see that was just a tiny bit of a difference. Now the cue ball is on the rail and we're straight on the 8-ball. So this was the worst case just because I didn't hit the right spot of the pocket. And this is the difference, for example, between snooker and pool, because in pool, you have more margin to cheat the pocket, sometimes to your advantage. Yeah, if you want to create an angle that isn't there, you can cheat the pocket, but in this case, to your disadvantage. I mean, the ball still dropped, but now we're in a horrible position. So all I'm doing here is, of course, I could try to elevate and just bring the cue ball a bit back, but here I'm just gonna sacrifice the position once again and just gonna roll that in. This is already difficult enough. Now, almost done. This is actually ideal because I now have an angle where the cue ball goes away from the rail and not like here where it would go to the rail. So now you have 2 options. This is interesting. Playing a stop shot would obviously give me the best shot making ability because I don't have to hit so hard, and most players, if they're trying to draw the cue ball now back, they're gonna hit so hard that they completely miss the pocket or that the ball once again rattles in the pocket. So, do I wanna make shot making a bit easier on the 6? Leave the cue ball here for the 8-ball? Or do I wanna draw back? I mean, I could also follow, but the problem is with the follow, the cue ball comes out like this and leaves me for a very long time in no man's land. So I think I'm trying to play a soft draw shot, not a full draw shot, not a full power draw shot, just a soft one. If it ends in a stop shot, it's okay. If there is actually some draw on the cue ball that brings me closer to the 8-ball, even better. So you can see a nice little drill, really a lot of things that can go wrong. And I mean, I could do the whole thing for you if you want to. In just one go without all the talking, with pinpoint positions. I'm probably gonna do that, but not in this video. but I'm gonna upload that on Patreon, I think. You know what, let's do it on YouTube instead, because I think this is just so valuable to a lot of you guys to see the whole thing without the explanations in between. So here, just remember, give yourself an angle and use a trace of right spin, because you don't wanna be here, you wanna have the angle where you have that 2-rail position to the 2-ball. Here, just follow, no spin whatsoever. And very important, you wanna think 3 shots ahead. This means you need an angle on the 2-ball. It works with less angle, but it's not natural. Here, this is pretty much ball in hand. It's the same principle here. Use a touch of left spin, that the cue ball comes out like this, where you still have the 2-rail angle, where you're not coming to here. Now, really important, remember, you wanna hit close to here and come closer to the 3 ball, because now you have to work the cue ball more. You have to work against the natural roll from the 3 to the 8. So just like that, coming a bit closer to the 3. This is perfect. Let's just come 1 rail back. Just like that. And here, once again, perfect angle, 2 rails. Just trying to get closer to the 2 ball. High, touch of left spin. Just like that. It's perfect. Here, in that case, you're still gonna have a bit of problems as a left-handed player. So as a left-handed player, you might wanna bring it to here, but I'm gonna play it as a right-handed player here. Low right, bring the cue ball back. Just like that. I sacrificed a bit of position here because I didn't want to do too much with my weak arm, but this is great now. Just 2 rails once again, just left spin. You can see coming a nice path. Didn't try to do anything more, but this is still fine. Now let's try to hit that 2nd rail, low left. Just like that, bounce out of the rail. Now I have a nice angle on the 8 ball. And yes, I know it wasn't really 100% pinpoint on every single shot, but I think I gave myself a good angle every single time to keep shooting. And now, you know what, let's just show you on the final shot, the inside spin shot, which I wouldn't really do in that case, but just to show you where the cue ball comes like 3 rails around. You're crossing the line, a bit tricky, but this is a shot you definitely gotta be able to play. And this is how you complete this drill. That was exhausting. All right, if you appreciate what I just showed you, then leave a comment down below, head to my website, subscribe to this channel for more, and I will see you at the next one. Take care. That was really exhausting. Whew.